Okay. So, as always, I'm not going into this with a plan, but oh, hey, Pedro Medina just purchased Ship 30 for 30. I feel like this is such a controversial. It's such a well-known and for many people very controversial program. It has obviously been a huge inspiration to me in certain respects, considering that I just ran Shift 30 for 30. Yes, obviously the name is inspired, um, and the program itself was inspired by Ship 30. A lot of conversations earlier this year around writing and some of the struggles that I and my friends have had with writing, in connection to Ship 30, and just in connection to writing challenges in general. I spent a lot of time thinking about this program, talking about this program, and ultimately, that led to me being inspired to make Shift 30 for 30, which was sort of we've only done it once so far, but in many ways, it's sort of my answer to a lot of these struggles that I saw people still having after joining and doing this program. So, I've read the sales page before, at least in part, but I thought I would do it again. Oh, hey, Judah Lee, good job. I thought I'd read it again a little more closely. This is not really a copy review. I know it doesn't even say that anywhere. I guess I just say that because all my professional experience is as a marketer and a copywriter. So when a copywriter reads a sales page, a lot of times you assume it's a copy review, but that's not really what this is. I'm reading it more with an eye for just what stands out to me as like a prospective customer, like as a person who does want to write online, as somebody who spends a lot of time thinking about psychology and emotion of selling and of buying, right? Both in a professional respect, but also as a human being who has bought and spent many, many thousands of dollars online on courses over the years. I just want to read this as a human being and just sort of highlight the things that stand out to me, and then maybe just talk about some of the maybe I'll bring in like some more like copy reflections, just like pointing out hooks and pointing out things that are happening in the copy. But I definitely want to read it just with an eye for like what are the things that are being sold here. Not in terms of like what do you actually get, right? Not in terms of the features, but in terms of what are the emotional buttons being pushed is kind of a more antagonistic way to describe it, but like what emotions are being triggered in me as I read this, and what desires is it pointing out and poking, so to speak, in me. So I guess that I could try to articulate myself better, but that's basically what I'm doing. So I guess I might also just like read the copy, because I've been doing that with all the other things that I've been reading lately. I just read the thing and then comment on it. So We've got Ship 30 for 30, digital writing blog. It's kind of interesting to have a sales page with a link to a blog and all these other things at the top. It is much more like young person, like hip copywriting thing to do in the worlds that I grew up in as a copywriter. It's like very much a no-no to link out from the sales page, because yeah, you want or we want it, or the whole idea was to really control people's experience and not give them any opportunity to leave the page. And that's one of the big reasons why marketers, certain kind of marketers anyway, like video sales letters, and specifically video sales letters where you don't give people the option to see where they are in the video, let alone the ability to like jump around, because then you're completely controlling the way and the sequence that the information is delivered. Whereas like I could be on here, right, and it's written in a sequence, but I can just read around and I can go all the way to the bottom, right? So I'm not forced to engage with this page in any particular way, but that is definitely something that's done in certain styles of marketing. It's just a video sales letter where you don't know how much longer there is in the video and you have no ability to skip around. You're locked in. So, okay. Start writing online in 30 days. So, start writing online. There's obviously a lot packed into that, right? Not everyone is going to be compelled by that, but for certain people, that is a huge thing that they want to do, right? So it's kind of interesting because in a way, that headline is extremely basic, right? There's not like there's no flair to it. Start writing online. It's the most simple sounding thing possible, but for the people who want to do this, it is a fucking burning desire. There's so much packed into that, right? All the meaning that is associated with writing online, like all of the professional benefits, all of the whole ideas of like being an expert and gaining respect from other people, let alone like self-respect and confidence by building an audience and telling people that you know shit. And then on the other hand, there's people, sometimes the same people, sometimes different people who simply just want to express themselves more and feel bottled up. And this has been me in the past for sure. Still to an extent me. You just feel bottled up. You want to express yourself more, but you have all of these blocks to writing, right? So you see benefit in writing. You want to write for those benefits, but also just because you want to say the things that are on your mind, and yet you feel blocked, right? Your perfectionism, writer's block, all these various things. So simple as that headline sounds, there's a lot in it. And then in 30 days, it's like, oh, okay, so that's a pretty short amount of time. I mean, it could be shorter, but at the same time, it's not like it's an amount of time that seems reasonable, right? Like that's the kind of the amount of time that's often associated with building a habit. It's like, if it was 7 days, it would be like, that sounds kind of too good to be true, or like what really can happen in 7 days. But 30 days is like, okay, that's just 1 month. I put in 1 month's worth of work or something can happen, right? And it's time bounded. So it's like, okay, well, I don't have to do this for like 3 months or like some indefinite amount of time. It's like, okay, I get to like achieve my dreams basically, because writing online is a huge fucking dream for people. And I'm giggling about that, but like for me too. Okay, so Yeah, it's just like basically it's like achieve your dreams, achieve this thing that you've been wanting to do for potentially years in 30 days, in the next month. Interestingly, too, it's not, it's an action promise, Like it's not a promise of benefits, which is kind of unique within copy. A lot of copywriters would look at this and be like, well, where's the benefit? Where's the benefit? Tell me what I'm going to get. Well, what you're going to get is you're going to do the thing that you've been wanting to do for years, So in that respect, the benefit is exactly this, for the right people, Not everyone sees that as a benefit, but for the right people who've been wanting to write online for years and have felt blocked, this is the benefit. It's right there. You don't need to explain it. So, Ship 30 for 30 is a cohort-based course that has taught over 4,000 students the fundamentals of writing on the internet. Okay, so like a lot of people have done it. That's helpful. Fundamentals, the basics, right? It's not fancy. I just want to know the fundamentals, right? And you think about like Bruce Lee and that whole quote about like, would you rather learn like 100 different kicks or just one kick that you learn how to master, right? Like who is more effective? It's like just learn the fundamentals and you can do a lot. So that word kind of brings that that flavor to it. It's just like forget about the fancy stuff, just focus on the basics and you'll be able to do a lot with the basics. Okay. But unlike other writing courses, you won't learn passively. You'll create 30 pieces of published writing, build lifelong friendships, and leave with a new perspective of what is possible online. So I don't know what they're referring to about passive, but I'm guessing like you're not going to just take in information, right? You're not just, because that's such a common pattern within the whole course buying thing. Even when courses are about taking action, ultimately, the course itself can't make you do anything, right? So we ourselves fall into this pattern of just buying course after course or buying book after book after book and just like hoovering information without doing anything. And there's so much like emotional stuff and psychological stuff going on there, so I won't dive into that, but that's kind of what it's getting at, is that information seeking pattern without ever taking action, in quotes, right? That's a whole nother area about like, just take action. I don't believe it's as simple as that. And I think that creates a lot more strife than anything else. But anyway, the promise here basically is that it won't be that. It won't be that kind of experience where you just take in more information and do nothing and have no results at the end of it, right? You'll create 30 pieces of published writing. Okay, wow, that's pretty good. That's a lot, especially if you've like never written before and you've been wanting to, or like 30 pieces. That's a lot. That's one per day. 30 pieces. I don't know. I feel like I'm like trying to get at something by saying that's a lot, but that's the point. It's a lot. It's a body of work, right? 30 pieces. Okay, and then there's build lifelong friendships, which is kind of like random. It's not necessarily connected to this on the surface. I can see many ways in which it is, right? Like I believe personally that writing is sort of like an inherently social endeavor. Even if you're writing on your own, that attempt to express yourself, even if only you ever write and read what you write, is an attempt to communicate. So I do believe that writing is inherently just about talking to people, but even if that people is yourself. But of course, also building friendships is a huge selling point, something that many people want, especially very online people, many of whom, including myself, are on the more introverted side, and long for connection, but maybe don't know how to find and create connection. So, and then especially over the past few years of everything being everyone being so disconnected from each other because of what's been going on in the world, even more drive and desire for connecting with other people and making friends. So it may be kind of a random thing to throw in there, but that's one of the huge benefits of taking online courses. It's a huge reason to go to college. That's like an unspoken, in many ways, in many times, unspoken benefit and even a reason for going to college is to create relationships. Like, sometimes it's not even about the education itself. Like, it's the relationships that count. But anyway, so that's there. Yep, I want new friends. I want to connect over the things I'm passionate about. I don't want to just write and have no one ever read it or connect with anyone. I want that social element. So that's cool. And leave with a new perspective for what's possible online. That's extremely vague and open-ended, and in a way weak copy, but like at the same time very effective because it lets you use your imagination. Because probably if you're reading this page, you have read a lot about the benefits of writing online. You don't need this page to educate you on the benefits of writing online. You've probably listened to plenty of podcasts and plenty of interviews about people who have gotten huge amounts of success in their life in various ways by writing online. So you yourself can fill in the details about this, what's possible online. They don't need to say it. So, okay. Stop overthinking. Finally start writing in 2022. So the fact that that is literally the second headline, right? It is smaller than the headline, but it's pretty damn big. Stop overthinking. That's a huge problem that we face, right? I have been accused of being an overthinker so many times in my life. It's one of the most frustrating things because it doesn't fucking like actually help with the problem. If someone accuses you of overthinking, you're like, okay, well, what the fuck do I do then? Like, I don't feel like I'm overthinking. I'm just doing what my brain does, right? And then you probably feel like ashamed of that because you're like, okay, so I'm doing something wrong, but like, fuck you. So, and yet over time, it becomes this thing that you recognize, like, oh yeah, I seem to do that. And I often don't take action because I think about things a lot instead. And so you find yourself feeling like overthinking itself is your block to action, right? So it's like, I want to start writing online, but I haven't done it for years because I just overthink it all. And that's a huge thing, right? It used to be the case for me that like whenever I had the idea to do anything, I would Google stuff about doing that thing. Like, oh, I want to start a blog. Like, let me spend like the next days, weeks, months Googling how to start a blog and collecting information about starting a blog and think about it a lot and strategize it a lot and plan it a lot, but never actually do it, And with any old thing, anything that I was curious about doing, I would just seek information and think about it, but not do it, right? So it became very poignant for me. I'm an overthinker, and that's stopping me from doing the things that I want to do. It's not really something I am terribly burdened with anymore, thankfully, and it's very nice. But it used to be big time. So, yeah, I mean, that finally is literally italicized, right? Like, finally start. I've been wanting to start forever. Finally. That's the tone there, right? There's so much pent-up desire to do this, right? It's like if you imagine a dam, right? There's a river that wants to flow, but your overthinking is the dam. So it's like, finally break that fucking dam and let the river flow. That's the energy of this. So, okay, join over 4,132 successful students. Click here to secure your spot. Blah, blah, blah. Join the ship. So one thing to notice is like the fact that there's a join button so early is kind of going with what I said. It's like you probably have heard about this course before coming to this page. Like, this page is not trying to educate you on the entire idea of writing online. It doesn't need to hide the fact that this is a sales page until the very end when you're convinced that it's worthwhile. Like, you scroll down the smallest amount and it's like, oh yeah, join, So there are people who have thought about it enough already that by this point they might be ready to join. Not all sales pages are like that. Some sales pages do not tell you that anything is even for sale until like the bottom third. But they're clearly not doing that. Join the ship before we set sail. And then there's a little bit of price urgency. Well, double kinds of urgency, right? Join quick so you can get in, and then join quick so that you don't have to pay more later. So, all right, quiz. Is Ship 30 for 30 right for you? I don't know, is it? But this is a nice way to do it, right? Because imagine if it literally just said, Ship 30 for 30 is right for you. Imagine somebody saying that to you, right? It's like, oh, you know me? You think you know me? Like JPEG Mafia. You think you know me? Probably nobody is going to get that reference, and it's going to sound weird, but anyway, JPEG Mafia. Look him up if you don't know. He's an incredible rapper. And that is his producer tag. You think you know me? But yeah, if you had somebody telling you this sales page, right? If someone was pitching you this program directly and they're like, Ship 30 for 30 is right for you. You're like, you barely know me. Like, how do you know that, right? It puts up your defensive. And instead, it's asking you, and then you get to, sort of confirm for yourself. So it's a subtle shift in tone and the way that the copy is relating to you. But it doesn't presume to know you, and it doesn't presume to know what's right for you, which is nice. I mean, like, I can't point to like, oh, this has been proven by such and such studies, but like, as a human being, I know that I much prefer this. So, the quiz. Have you wanted to start writing online, but aren't sure the first step to take? Are you overwhelmed with the number of different platforms, topics, and strategies out there for writing online? Yeah, that's a very common thing. Kind of like what I was describing, right? Of like that overthinking tendency to be like, oh, I want to do this thing. Let me go find out every possible way, every possible program, every possible book, every possible strategy that exists for doing that thing. Oh man, guess what? Now I'm overwhelmed. I haven't done it, but I'm overwhelmed and I don't know where to start. That is something that I have experienced for a decade plus, over and over and over again, in all areas of my life. And then, so what? In that position, you just want someone to fucking simplify it for you, right? Like, just tell me where to start. Theoretically, anyway. Just because someone tells you that this is where to start doesn't mean you're going to be saved from that overwhelm, right? Probably every single new piece of information you seek out in that whole overthinking process probably has some element of that promise of being like, just do this. No, just do this. Just follow these 5 steps. Just do just do this. This is the only thing that matters. Like, and you see that over and over again. And you're like, which thing is actually important? It's overwhelming, right? So that's a tricky thing with copy, because the people that's writing the copy, if they've made the program and they believe in what they're saying, like, good for them to say that, right? It's like, yeah, this is what matters. This is the thing that actually makes a difference in helping you do the thing you want to do. But then again, there's copy inflation, and everyone starts saying that, and then what do you do as a consumer? It's just confusing. But to the question, these questions, yeah, overwhelmed. I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do. Okay, so the next question. Have you started writing online, but now you feel stuck? Are you hacking away at blog posts, publishing into the void, never gaining any traction? Right, okay, so that feeling of being stuck. Like, yes, I've started, I'm doing something, but it's not going anywhere. Hacking away, right? It's like very effortful. It's like, ugh, grunting, ugh, I'm hacking, right? Or just like trying to chop down a tree or something. It's just like very brutal manual labor, hacking away. Right? Just like imagining your hands getting like raw and calluses and bleeding. It's like, ugh. There's that GIF that I always remember. It's just like a stick figure who's like tapping at his keyboard and then gets progressively more and more angry and then starts banging the hands on the keys and they become bloody, and then the hands just like fall off and then they start banging their head on the keyboard until the face becomes all bloody. It's very brutal, but that's kind of the image. You know, it's like trying so hard and destroying yourself. Publishing into the void, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm doing it, but like nothing's happening. Right? It's like, why am I even putting in the effort? Never gaining any traction. Same thing. It's like, okay, I'm writing, but like the benefits aren't coming. What the hell? Right? So yeah, that's something that I've felt in the past. Do you have plenty of ideas, but struggle to put yourself out there? Do you find yourself creating draft after draft, never hitting publish? I'm not going to name names, but I literally was tweeting with somebody the other day who said pretty much this, that they're on like their 12th draft of a thing, you know, and that they did have that sort of hacking away energy. So it's like, okay, yeah, that's a very common feeling. It's like, I have so many ideas I want to express, but I don't know how to express them. And a lot of times we don't even know exactly what's blocking us, right? And that's one of the things about a course like this is the reason that we don't know how to express ourselves because we don't know how to write well enough? I'm going to leave that question open. Right, but there are certain promises that can be made about, like, if you just knew how to structure the blog post correctly, then you could say everything that you're wanting to say, and you wouldn't be creatively blocked in this way. Whether that's true or not, in experience, I will refrain from saying for now, but it's a very common feeling that I've felt. If I just learn how to do this thing, whatever it is, if I just learn how, if I learn all the rules, if I learn how the pros do it, then I'll be able to do it finally, right? I won't be stuck. I won't be blocked. I won't be caught in this loop of just like overthinking and never actually doing the thing that I want to do. So those are all very intense, strong, emotional pain points that I have experienced for a decade plus, that I know a lot of other people have experienced. Both like my friends and then people that I have sold to in my own work. That is a very, very common. I've written copy to these pain points many, many times. So, if any of these sound familiar, then Ship 30 for 30 was built for you. Okay, so going back to that thing of like, it's not presumptuous, right? Is it right for you? Well, I don't know, but here's some questions for you about your experience, right? And if you say yes, then yeah, like we built it for a certain kind of person, and that certain kind of person is a kind of person who feels these things. So if you identify with that, then yes, it was built for you. But I'm not saying that presumptuously, right? Without knowing you, like you, in a way that this copy has been like, okay, well, I don't know you, but like, do you experience this? Do you experience that? Do you experience this? I mean, if you do, and that's up to you to say, but if you do, then yeah, I mean, that's what this was built for. So it's very inviting in that way, and feels like, oh, okay, I have identified that this is good for me, right? You're not, you, the person writing the copy, you, the sales page, are not beating me over the head with the idea that this is perfect for me without even knowing, right? That's what spam basically is. Spam marketing. It's like, buy this thing, and it's like totally irrelevant for you. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna stop there for now. This moves into like social proof stuff. So yeah, I hope that was enjoyable to watch. It's enjoyable to read and think about this stuff. So till next time, have a good one.